Chief and the Doomsday device.
What's happening, y'all? This is Chief Doomsday coming to you live from the epicenter, and welcome back to DoomTube ATX. It's kind of hard to believe it, but I've now been playing Fortnite for about a year and a half on nearly a daily basis after spending years avoiding it. Due to the massive learning curve that is build mode, sided with the fact that I historically was horrible at shooters, I resigned myself to the fact that Fortnite would always be the phenomenon happening adjacent to my gaming lifestyle. The addition of Zero Build in spring of 2022 was certainly intriguing, but it wasn't until my then recently split up friend group decided to start playing that I finally took the Fortnite plunge. Needless to say, I've enjoyed the game enough to not only continue playing it, but enough for it to spill out of its digital boundaries and make impacts on my real life. As season after season have come and gone, I find myself becoming attached to different skins, fawning for weapons and gameplay aspects that have moved on, and most importantly, improving at the game. I'm not out here cranking 90s or throwing down triple edits, but I've even gotten over my fear of build mode and can throw a cone in a box with the best of them if need be. Well, maybe not the best of them, but I'll give it an honest try. With the end of February marking Chapter 6, Season 2's update, it made me realize that I will be going into my 10th Fortnite season, if we don't count the permanent edition of Fortnite OG. I may not have been on Fortnite since day one, but I've definitely been around long enough to see how deeply convoluted the storyline is, to see aspects of the game either cause severe outrage or be championed, and most importantly, see Fortnite evolve creatively, culturally, and economically. With such a momentous occasion on the horizon, I thought it might be fun to take a look back at my time with Fortnite, give my thoughts on seasons past, and maybe even rank them in terms of what I consider my favorites. Starting from spot 9, we will work our way up the list from the season I liked least to the season I liked the most. Though the permanent OG mode will not be up for consideration at this time, the original Fortnite OG season and Fortnite Remix will be, as they fell in line with the Battle Royale seasonal update progression. All rankings are based strictly on my personal opinions and experiences, and I will do my best to make my thoughts on each season as coherent and accurate as possible. That being said, sit back and enjoy this ride down Fortnite's recent memory lane. Every ranking list has to have a bottom spot, and for me, it's relatively easy to throw Myths Immortals at the bottom of my list. There were definitely aspects of the season that I enjoyed, such as the second wave of boss medallions, the Chain of Hades melee weapon, the underworld dash ability gained after wading in the green water of the underworld and Grim Gate, and even just the general aesthetic of the POIs, both named and unnamed. The thing is, however, for every good aspect of the season, I could easily name multiple bad ones. The clumsy insertion of the Avatar ethos in the storyline led to a handful of overpowered and busted mythics. The vastness and openness of the middle of the map, the largely underwhelming stock weapon pool led by the monumentally lackluster Huntress DMR, the sheer annoyance of having to be on guard for Wings of Icarus and Thunderbolt of Zeus users, and perhaps most importantly, the whiplash of moving from a heist-adjacent season into a season involving literal Greek gods. This season started out very strong, but it was also the only season where I organically found myself stepping away from the game, as the presence of more negative than positive made it easy to sever myself from Fortnite's magnetic pool. For my first real experience with Fortnite, I think Wilds was a fine place to start out. With a mixture of jungle-based adventures and the presence of Optimus Prime, I was certainly lost in terms of narrative. The gameplay balance of the season was very nice, however, especially for a new player, as even in the moments when sweats bulldozed myself and my crew, I never felt so defeated that giving up was an option. I'm not sold on the fact that experiencing Wilds, knowing what I know now, would change my opinion of the season in terms of ranking, but I could definitely see myself being an absolute menace with all the cover that the jungle provided. It may also be a weird knock on the season, but The only reason it sits this low on the list is because of how overwhelming the entire experience was for me. It wasn't so overwhelming that I felt the need to quit, but I did feel so in over my head for a time that understanding the gameplay, the battle pass, and even the insane deluge of what is the main menu didn't click for me until later seasons. Nostalgia may be a powerful drug, but if I don't have a Jones for it in my system, things just won't hit the same. Hence my somewhat blasé attitude towards Chapter 4's Fortnite OG. A seasonal detour considered by some to be peak Fortnite outside of year one. Fortnite OG did have a few things about it that I liked. Risky Reels, Wailing Woods, and Haunted Hills quickly became some of my favorite all-time drop spots. Some of my favorite weapons and weapon designs were present on the map, and numerous iconic skin combos popped up, such as Renegade Lynx and Sora. Sadly though, for someone not blinded by nostalgia, there were abundant reasons I was glad to see this mode go. The lack of vehicles and mobility made traversing this map a true chore. Zero build players such as myself realized just how little organic cover was present on the map, and God forbid you get caught in the middle of a firefight at Loot Lake. Fortnite OG should definitely be held in high regard for the way that it revitalized the Fortnite community at large, and as a fan of the game, I can certainly respect that. But respect and enjoyment are two different things, and I was definitely more than ready for Fortnite OG to move on by the time that update day came around. I wasn't fortunate enough to be playing Fortnite for Chapter 2 Season 4's Nexus War, the introduction of Marvel into the Fortnite universe, and outside of the occasional skin popping up in the shop, I figured that was a ship that had sailed on to the point I'd never get an opportunity to board it. Luckily for me, Fortnite isn't afraid to run a good idea back. Marvel found its way back into the realms of themery in the form of Chapter 5 Season 4's Absolute Doom run. Fresh off the heels of possibly Fortnite's most chaotic season, Absolute Doom made no attempt to take its foot off a player's necks in terms of items that eradicated skill gaps. If the Avatar mythics of the Myth Immortal season broke gameplay to the point of frustrating redundancy, then Absolute Doom's equally busted Marvel mythics broke the game to the point of unadulterated, amusing chaos, creating a cycle that kept players like myself coming back for another roll of the dice. Outside of the removal of classy courts, Absolute Doom's Chapter 5 map update was a chef's kiss, with a handful of landmarks being overtaken by Victor Von Doom, including a castle full of items giving odes to Doom's pure dominance over the heroes of the Marvel Universe. The boss medallions remain quality with this update, and the Doom gauntlets were a fitting reward for what was always a true dogfight between Doom and the masses of people attempting to third-party your battle. The battle pass was quality, with tons of Marvel skins and emotes, and even the item shop stayed high quality, acting as a pure siphon for V-Bucks with Marvel skin after Marvel skin hitting each update, along with new Fortnite originals and collaborations. While the near end-of-season mini-event may have left the player base momentarily unsatisfied in terms of build-up versus reality, the fact that Fortnite was able to tie multiple in-game live events into the natural flow of the season made the events overall winners. Bring me back Cap's shield. Bring me back Shuri's claws. Bring me back the Iron Man and War Machine battle gear. Let's hope that if Marvel and Fortnite ever collab again, it at least meets the bar set by this season. What a fitting choice for the halfway point of this list, is one of the key points of this season was the concept of embracing the throwback while looking forward to the future. While the original Fortnite OG took a hardline adherence towards nostalgic authenticity and embracing of Fortnite's foundational culture, Fortnite Remix flipped the script by putting a modern twist on Fortnite's classic aspects. Over the course of 4 weeks, musical icons Snoop Dogg, Eminem, Ice Spice, and the late Juice WRLD took over the map, putting their own spin on popular POIs. Fortnite also took a more calculated approach towards their classic skin blends, resulting in a handful of some of the most memorable combination skins to date. Fans that had been clamoring for a Travis Scott, Ariana Grande type live event had their wishes granted when Chapter 2 Remix, the finale, closed out the season, and Chapter 5 as a whole. While many players were confused in terms of narrative connectivity, in my eyes, Fortnite Remix was a nice temporary breather from what was quickly becoming an avalanche of a story. And in the end, Epic Games managed to find a way to tie everything together, thus making Fortnite Remix fit a bit more comfortably into Fortnite's overall narrative big picture. I had a bit of fun in Fortnite OG, but I didn't really connect with it on the whole. But outside of Ice Spice being the season's sole glaring flaw, I was definitely picking up what Fortnite Remix was putting down, and will definitely be curious to see if they ever approach an idea of this nature again. As we round the corner and head into the home stretch of what I consider peak Fortnite, it's nice to know that I'm currently crossing the border into Last Resort, Chapter 4, Season 4 of Fortnite. Used largely to set up Fortnite OG and transition us into the broader metaverse, what could have been a purely functional season turned out to be one full of top-notch excitement and quality combat, as the combination of vault keys, bosses, and the highly underappreciated Chapter 4 map came together nearly perfectly to produce a layering of consistently action-packed gameplay aspects. We didn't necessarily know it at the time, but Last Resort marked the end of our days with the Augment system, a gameplay aspect that has been teased to return but has yet to make a comeback. While not necessarily the most coherent battle pass, Last Resort did give us some iconic original Fortnite characters in the form of Nolan Chance, May, and Piper Pace. Not to mention the confusingly controversial inclusion of Senegalese content creator Kaby Lame. Unlike any other inclusion on this list, however, I can safely attribute this season's high ranking to a single aspect, and that would be the fact that Last Resort introduced me to the business turret. I can't tell you how many nights during this season were spent squadding up with the homies, everyone with a business turret in hand, sometimes tossing them a good 50 to 70 meters ahead of us to create a two-wave third-party approach. Whenever I talk about my quote-unquote good old days with Fortnite, it'll be seasons such as Last Resort that I'm directly referring to. By the time Chapter 5 Season 1 rolled around, I was just beginning to get a proper grip on how the chapter-based and seasonal aspects of Fortnite worked, and after just enough time in Chapter 4's jungle to develop a touch of familiarity, I found myself both curious and anxious to take a stab at my first true sweeping overhaul to Fortnite's gameplay ecosystem. I was pleasantly surprised when the map got not only an overhaul in terms of locations, but in terms of artistic style as well, as Epic Games began their shift to a less cartoony, more realistic approach to architecture with Underground, giving the entire map a bit of a European feel. What made me more excited was the new movement. Motion matching, procedural layering, and updated physics-based animations made characters and environmental interactions more fluid, and the addition of manling suddenly made both evasive maneuvers and pushes to attack much more dynamic. On a personal note, I was even a fan of the updated walking and running animations, though after community uproar the original animations were restored. In terms of weapon pool, the ballistic shield and grapple blade remain two of my favorite items of all time. I never was a massive fan of weapon mods, which were introduced in Underground, but the gamble you take with picking up floor and chest loot in terms of your weapon build out added one more shifty element to the already hectic Fortnite gameplay. Underground also introduced boss medallions to the game, a current staple and a much needed addition in the wake of augment removal. Wilds through Fortnite OG were definitely fun for me, but Underground marked the first true spike of excitement in terms of my Fortnite experience. Chapter 6 Season 1, the brilliantly designed Demon Hunter season we are currently in as of the making of this video, marked my second chapter shift in the world of Fortnite. If I was wowed by the changes that came with the introduction to Underground, then I can admit I was stunned beyond belief at how Demon Hunters amplified those changes sky high. The most immediate improvement was movement, with the manling introduced in Underground upgraded to a parkour-like level of manling, tuck and rolls, wall runs, and wall kicks that play as dynamically as they feel to control naturally. the map aesthetic has shifted from a European focus to a Japanese one, and the commitment to the change ran deep, with incredibly beautiful POIs and metric tons of world building. Blink and you'll miss them details peppered throughout every square inch of the map. The weapon pool didn't initially feel as deep as other seasons, but with monsters like the Hollow Twister AR, Sentinel Pump Shotgun, Oni Shotgun, Surefire SMG, and the infamous Typhoon Blade all present from day one, damage was being dealt left and right at a breakneck pace. Things only got crazier as the weapon pool expanded, with items like the lock-on pistol, hunting rifle, kinetic blade, and the almighty explosive repeater rifle also making appearances. The circling back of Fortnite's overarching narrative towards a focus on the 0 point was a stroke of brilliance, especially with how seamlessly the mystic powers of the 0 point shard that arrived on the island and the history of mythical and demonic powers from Japan's history lined up. I normally stay so locked into the seasons I enjoy that I end up letting the seasonal shifts sneak up on me, but with the greatness of Demon Hunters leaving a lasting impact on me, I am well aware that the end of February marks the end of this season, and while I'm still in the midst of its grasp, I can say with confidence that I will certainly miss Demon Hunters once it's gone. Where do we even begin with Wrecked? Chapter 5 Season 3 easily stands as the most divisive season I've ever been a part of, and I'd wager to say outside of Season X, it may be the most divisive season in the history of Fortnite. Myths and Mortals had me feeling like my honeymoon with Fortnite was coming to an end, but Wrecked and its massive infusion of Mad Max-like energy yanked me back in at warp speed. Everything about this season was an absolute chaotic mess, and I deeply loved every second of it. If the handheld weapon pool's addition of items like the Gatekeeper Shotgun, Megalodon's Nitro Fist, Chains of Hades, Minigun, the Wookiee Bowcaster, and the Boom Bolt were the only chaotic items thrown into the mix, Wreck probably would have still gone down as a rampant mess. What really drove the community over the edge, especially the seasoned pros and competitive players, however, were the vehicular weapon mods. What started out as a crazy idea of adding melee and ballistic elements to vehicles went on to completely shift the entire meta of Fortnite on a grand scale. In terms of Wrecked, it was nearly impossible to win without a vehicle, which largely evened the playing field, and in the wake of the Wrecked season, cars have evolved from an optional convenience to a nearly necessary element in terms of movement and cover. Picking my all-time favorite skin is a tall order, but I can say with confidence that the Bright Raider is by far the best Battle Pass skin I've ever wanted, almost to the point of buying my way up the tier rather than grinding to unlock her. More than anything, Wrecked is the season where I turned a corner in terms of my skill in Fortnite. All of the madness and chaos of Wrecked made me a better, more efficient shooter, an overall better driver, an infinitely better tactician and decision maker, a player with little to no fear in my approach, and most importantly, a player who truly learned just how fun the Fortnite experience can be. I'm usually not one to dwell in the past, but I would kill for just one more run at a Wrecked season match. If you've ever taken the time to contemplate what it is you love or hate about Fortnite seasons of the past, or just dig what we do here at DoomTube ATX in general, please feel free to subscribe to my channel for more content. If you yearn for the return of a particular season, or if you have thoughts on my reflections of my Fortnite experience, don't hesitate to let us know in the comments. For those of you who have taken the time to watch this video, thank you a ton. Until next time, take care of yourselves, and I'll do the same for myself.